The farmer that manages the soybeans around my property informed me that he would have to actually spray insecticides on them. Now, after a day, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a look at the hives to see if they're dead or alive. This is the back of the bee yard, and you can see how close I'm standing at about where the last hive is, and you can see it's probably 20 feet, 25 feet to where the beans are. And that's why I asked if he would stay off a bit beyond even this point here, if he could stay out further from where the beehives are located. And so as you can see, this is where he was spraying. And I have walked these beans quite a bit over the past week to see if there are any bees out there. Fortunately, I guess it's fortunate that I didn't see any bees out there at all. You know, you can see where the soybeans are flowering right there. But as much as I looked, I just don't see bees out there, which is a good thing. They're going somewhere else. So now let's go ahead and take a look through the bee yard to see, oh my gosh, are they okay? One thing good that did happen was actually he sprayed them late in the day, and that meant that the bees were all home. They weren't foraging. There goes the UPS truck, another truck for the day. Here it comes. That means all of you that have placed a lot of orders of all of the things that you buy from us, feeder boards and additives, they're coming your way. All right, good. What I was saying was that it rained this morning, so they didn't even get a chance to go out and fly until about, until about now, which is 3 in the afternoon. So looking at the beehives, I expect there to be, bees not really doing much because it has been so wet and rainy. I mean, we got over 1 inch of rain in less than an hour. Okay, so here's a good example that things look good because there's the flow hive. Just extracted honey out of it yesterday. That's a video coming up. No dead bees on the board on the bottom. You'd expect to see some dead bees down there even on the ground, but I don't see that at all. So that looks good. Let me take a moment to tell you that I really appreciate you so much, and I'd love for you to be a subscriber. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up. The Apiary hive in the back, they look good. They're foraging. I don't really say foraging, but they're flying. There's not a lot for them to forage on right now, but they're moving. This is kind of my weakest hive right here, but it's always been weak. It's my horizontal Langstroth. Not impressed with the bees this year there. Yeah, everything back here looks good. Boy, they're busy. No dead bees out front. Back there looks really good. They're busy. No noticeable dead bees. The very mean, aggressive, defensive hive, even out scrubbing the deck today. Gosh, they're mean. I bet there's not a small hive beetle in there. I would hate to be a small hive beetle in that hive. Oh yeah, scrubbing the deck here. Good population. Same over here. This hive is still going and coming and going. No dead bees around. This is my medium box. Starting to feed them. Typical configuration here, and they're looking good. There's a blob of propolis on the front it's always been there, but yeah, nothing looks bad there. Same back there. They look good and healthy. I know I alarmed some of you yesterday when I said that my farmer was going to have to spray some insecticides. Yeah, they look good, and the old round hive over here. No dead bees at all. See, like out here on the carpet, you would expect to see maybe dead bees, but it all looks good. Now, that's the price you pay when you have bees, in the Midwest, right in the middle of corn and soybeans. It's going to going to be where farmers are going to have to do what they have to do, and your bees are out there with that, all that chemical and things. And but I will say that I've lived here and I've had bees here for over 20 years, and I have never yet to have any negative effect of my colonies from the corn and beans, and the management that they do to take care of their corn and beans has never affected my colonies. And as you can see, like I said, I'm 20-25 feet from where the beans start. And I think the success of not having a kill-off has been communication. My farmer has been excellent in talking with me, and he and I have a really good relationship where we try to work together to view both of us as farmers. I'm a bee farmer, he's a crop farmer, and we both work together. We both respect each other. And so would I love for that to be something like clover, you know, like thousands of acres of clover, alfalfa? I would love that. And Jared, if you're watching, try to work on that, you know, see if that's something that can happen, because man, that would be great. Although I've got more honey this year than I know what to do with, without that being all clover out there. But I have noticed something very interesting. Some fields around me are now sorghum, and I've never had sorghum in my area of all the years that I've lived here. And I've noticed that, well, I've read that bees go to sorghum. And so I'm interested in that, although I think they spray insecticides on sorghum as well. So you're always balancing, you know, the chemistry of pesticides, insecticides that are out there, and you're just trying to work together with your farmer. And some of you probably have lost bees because of pesticides, but I'll tell you what really concerns me the most of a bee loss is if somebody that's not a farmer, not a beekeeper, and they have bees, say, in their house or in a barn or something, and they go out there with something like powdered 7, and they kill their bees that way. Homeowners kill their bees, maybe. Well, once those bees are dead, there's still a lot of honey where the bee colony was. And oftentimes those bees in the area will go and discover, oh look, there's honey that's unprotected by bees, and they will go and gather that toxic honey that has been laced with 7, and they'll bring that powdered stuff back to the hive and kill your hive. So that is really more of a worry for me than the fields are around me, because like I've said, I've got a 20-year plus history of my colonies not being affected by insecticides that they occasionally have to spray. Now, some of you might be saying, yeah, but you're not out of the woods yet. It could still be sublethal. You know, you could lose them in the winter because of it. I think I could if my bees were actually going out there and gathering it. But we both made sure that there was no wind. We both made sure that the insecticide didn't drift this way onto the beehives and such. And so I feel, and then it rained most of, starting at 8 a.m., it rained till 8 until about 1 or 2. And so, you know, it's got to be better for the bees for that chemical not to get airborne, because they stayed in their hives during that rain. So I'm feeling pretty good. I really am. If it was a 20-mile-an-hour windy day out of the south, and they were spraying that close to my beehives, shoot, I'd be scared that that drift would get the bees. And so I pretty much think I'm out of the woods. But I would encourage all of you some of you that are out in areas like I am, next to fields where they sprayed that from a tractor on the ground. They didn't aerial spray it, and I like that. So that's a big help as well. That way you can get it closer, you know, the nozzles are closer down onto or into the beans, and it just doesn't go everywhere. It's not a big loss. Airplanes, you know, you're 8 foot above it at least, and there's a lot of drift. So they did use ground spray, so that's going to help a lot. Another thing about this yard, by the way, this yard in particular, I've really grown to love it. Now, you might be wondering about this yard being in the shade, and last year I felt like it was a problem with small hive beetle, but this year I used GrubX to control other grubs in the bee yard, and lo and behold, it's greatly reduced the small hive beetle population. Now, I don't know if that's what's controlling it. I'm not sure if that's what is happening or if I just don't have a lot of beetles this year, but oh my gosh, I can do an entire inspection in a hive and sometimes not see any beetles at all, sometimes only less than a handful on each colony. For me, that's really good. As you can see, it's a lot of shade here. Now, interesting fact, you might not realize this, but every tree that you see here, I did not plant. I used to mow this. This used to just be part of my big front yard. And then I had this long-term plan that why don't I let this grow up and become a place where my bees can forage. Well, a lot of these trees, or all the trees that you see, but there were a lot more than this, they came up on their own. I don't know what kind of trees they are. They make berries, they make beautiful flowers every year. They may be trash trees probably, some kind of, you know, I don't know, but I'm not a tree expert. So as a result, it's become a nice, shady, beautiful place in the spring, nice place to work bees in the summer, and with beetles under control, it's become a fun yard for me to make videos like I'm doing right now. And so I let each of these trees grow up on their own, actually. Now, it is kind of tough to mow. I don't mow it as often as I need to, but I've got it set up where my trees, I kept cutting the trees down that were too close to each other, or I couldn't get my mower in here. And so now I can get my 54-inch blade through here and mow it pretty quickly. Got a weed eat every now and again. But it is a fun place, and I'm proud of the fact that all of these trees, I watched them grow up from a little twig on the ground to now they're over probably 30 feet tall. And that's pretty cool to give kind of like a small little forest area for my bees. It helps them out a lot. And so it's a cool little bee yard, and I'm proud of it. I thought I wasn't going to keep my bees here this year because of small hive beetle last year, but getting the beetles under control, it's turned this yard into a real fun place to be. Now, I still have more hives back toward the rest of my property, especially I have some near our training center. And what we don't like about that is I have 2 hives down there, and you probably see those in videos. Nobody's bothered by them anymore. They used to be bothered by them. My grandchildren come over, now they're not worried about them, and those bees don't bother anybody. One faces the training center, one faces the where we keep our golf cart, and my grandchildren will drive the golf cart in and out of where we park the golf cart, and it's only like inches away from the beehive, so nobody really cares anymore. UPS drivers that come down here, they don't care. Sometimes in the fall the bees are more out and looking for stuff. But I think I feel like I eventually want to get all my hives moved down here. Now, some of you may be wondering why I have another bee yard on the back of the property by the berm back there. You know, I've got my lay-ins hive, I've got the keeper's hive. What else do I have back there? I seem like I have, I just have some of these kind of more rogue hives that aren't laying straws, or there are swarms that I caught, a few mating nooks back there. And I intended to move all of these hives back there to get them back in the sun and closer to where all my camera and sound equipment is. Now I've got to drive all the way down here. But as now I see this is working out really good, I hope this winter to move all the bees up here and have all my bees in one spot. Pat, my videographer, has been doing a great job, and I appreciate him so much. So he's gotten to learn the lay of the land, and you know, we were both pretty familiar with coming up here and making videos for you guys. Today I wanted to give you just that update because I know I scared you yesterday about, the farmer's gonna have to spray some insecticides, so we're a little bit worried. But like I said, they did a ground spray. It rained after that. They did it after it got, it was late in the evening. So fingers crossed, things are gonna go pretty well for us. I think I even hear a crop tester now. Let's take a look. Now there we go. So we have a lot of crop testers. That's just that's just the Midwest for you. You know, if you have corn and beans and you try to keep bees in the Midwest, that's what it is here. My yards are challenged. I think a lot more than most beekeepers' yards are challenged by, because not only do I have to put up with farm spray, but I also had to put up, as you can see, you know, there's not much between me and just the wind. You know, if the wind's out of the south, look at that. I mean, it's just like you can see 40 miles. You know, if you're on a Navy ship, you can see about 40 miles before you lose the horizon. But, and then, you know, to the north, I have a river. I can't really show you now, but I've got a river that runs less than a mile from me that has a lot of great kind of places where bees can forage. And they have a lot of trees up there, especially honey locust. No, black locust. Yeah, black locust. Honey locust really doesn't make much in the way of honey for bees. But as you can see, you know, way back here, that where the tree line is, that's a little bit of a wind block for me in the north. And then it gets closer to my house, the trees do. So I have a little bit of wind block from the north. Is usually where the wind is out of in the wintertime. But last year I did not wrap any of these hives, and I did not build a wind block. I talked about building a wind block, but I didn't. All the hives did really good, and then they came out with a bumper crop of honey this year. So with what I have to work with, strong cold winds in the wintertime, and I don't wrap, I feed on my winter bee kinds, which are of course on sale now. I keep feeding the winter bee kinds. I feed them in the fall to build up bees of winter physiology. And then I try to work with my farmer to mitigate the chemicals that they use that could be detrimental to my hives. So all in all, I think it's pretty good. As far as mite control, again, I always test, and then I use some integrated pest management. Like I'll use, my main go-to really is breaking the queen's brood cycle. I've got a video coming up real soon showing you guys 3 ways to do that. But that is my primary way. I teach other methods, and I realize that it's better to treat for mites than not to treat. So I support treating. I also support people that don't want to treat at all and hope for the best. I mean, that's not always going to turn out good. That's a gamble. Most of the time that turns out bad. But I still respect your decision if that's the way you're going to do it. But I like to keep my mites under control, and that's what I teach. That's what I stress. Keep your mites down to 2 to 3 mites per 100. And you can do that by breaking the queen's brood cycle in July, August, September. And you can also use green drone comb, powdered sugar dusting, screen bottom boards, even before you bring out the big guns of treatment. And when you do start treating, using things like Formic Pro is a go-to way that I love to do it, because it kills below the cap brood, the caps of brood. And then, you know, there's the oxalic acid in broodless times that works great on bees. So we have a lot of tools in our toolbox to control mites. Well, guys, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for a walk through the bee yard. I appreciate you being here. Now, one of the phrases that you'll hear me say a lot in beekeeping is, you just got to cowboy up. And I love that phrase so much. And I'll tell the story about where I got that phrase pretty soon in one of my coming videos. It has to do with beekeeping. But in beekeeping, you can't be a coward, right? And I made a video just yesterday, or day before maybe, about don't be a coward, cowboy up in beekeeping. So watch that video. Don't be a coward, cowboy up. I'll see you guys right over here.